Welcome, everyone, back to episode 5 of the first season of the LEGO Robot Combat League. Here we have an interesting fight card lined up for you. So now that we're approaching the middle of the season here, and a lot of robots are looking pretty good, a lot of robots are not. And so, with the start of this season, some robots will be getting their third fight. And the third fight is really important, because it determines whether you get a high seed, it determines whether you just make the bracket, determines whether you don't make the bracket at all. So, a lot of robots need to win here. So, yeah, just to review our matches, we have Beta versus Garbage Collector, Schrodinger's Cat versus Flames, Endgame versus Witch Doctor, Extraterrestrial versus Warhead, and Zero Gravity versus Overkill. Now let's start with the first fight. So, Beta and Garbage Collector, they have had 2 fights so far. So, yeah. Each of them have had a win from each of their 2 fights. And Beta, of course, had that win over Overhaul, but wasn't much of a win. Overhaul basically self-destructed during that one. And then Garbage Collector. Garbage Collector with the win over Chronic. Chronic was a new competitor, but Garbage Collector defeated them impressively. So, good job to Garbage Collector for disposing of them quickly. And then they have that loss to Overkill, but Overkill is Overkill, and we can't expect Garbage Collector to beat Overkill in its first match. So, and then they have another one. Beta, of course, that tie with Flames. So, each of these robots will be looking for a win to secure their place in the round of 12. Beta with a win will definitely get in. Garbage Collector with a win is likely to get in. And then, with a tie, each of these 2 will go. Beta would go to 1-0 and 2. They are in a must-win position. And Garbage Collector, unless there's a miracle that happens, Garbage Collector will probably be out of contention. And with a loss, Garbage Collector is definitely out of contention, and Beta is actually, they are very likely to be out of contention with a loss here. So, without further ado, let's start the fight. So, Beta with a good hammer, and continuing to hammer, and I think they've out-hammered their hammer, because that's it that just came up within the first couple of seconds of the fight. Beta is still relatively in control. Slapping at Garbage Collector using that thing that once was a hammer, but is now definitely not a hammer. Garbage Collector somehow inverted. about halfway into the fight now, and not a lot of action after Beta lost his hammer. So I'm gonna try to get him in the pit. Let's see if they succeed. No, garbage collector saves the pit. And with a good flip there, Vita. Good. Seeing a bit of that garbage collector we saw in the fight with Chronic. That is a powerful flipper when you get to know it well. Looks like this one is running out of time. And this will be a draw. Well, that was a fun fight. Beta had a good start early on, hammering garbage collector, and still they lost the hammerhead. And then we had a fight with a whole bunch of the robots doing practically nothing, and so they get another tie for it. Beta is now 1-0-2. That puts them at a relatively must-win situation, because 1-0 and 3 robots, they might be undefeated, but it also shows that they can't complete fights, and that's not a good quality to have when you are in a bracket. So they're going to need a win in their next fight to secure a place in the bracket. Garbage collector now sits at 1-1-1. 2-1-1 robots can get in, but 1-1-2 robots cannot. Garbage collector definitely needs a win in their next fight, just like Beta, to secure a place. Now, the next one could have easily been the main event, but it's between two very powerful flippers, and it is here. 1 second. Alright, between Flames and Schrodinger's cat. So, Flames, of course, we saw with Beta, they tied with Beta because Beta was too heavy to flip, and then we saw them get the upset victory over Overkill, which was very good, considering that this is a new rookie robot, and now, all of you have seen now what this robot can do, and you probably understand why it's such a threat to the title. So, they're coming in here at 1-0-1, a good start, but similar to Beta. If they do tie this one, they are in a must-win situation. So, if they win one more of their fights, then they'll probably get into the bracket. It's a good position, but not exactly ideal, but a tie is, you can't blame a robot for one tie, so their chances of the tournament are still very much alive. Schrodinger's cat is Flipper. They have, this is not the Schrodinger's cat you've seen in the second episode, or the first episode. We came here with 3 Schrodinger's cat designs. We realized the second one was not that durable, and the first one not that low. So this is the one that fulfills all the primary objectives, and it is actually much better than its other 2. So Schrodinger's cat itself just tied, in episode 2, they tied a match against Event Horizon that was very much not going their way. So it was an unimpressive start, even though their record is 0-0-1. They're going to need a win here to impress the selection committee, but if they can get 2 more wins in this season, I'd say that they could get in, but I'm not too sure. So, let's watch the fight then. Alright, and the fight begins. Schrodinger's cat going for the pit to push Flames in, and pushing Flames flipper up, and turn the main control. Oh, now Flames' flipper is going underneath. Schrodinger's cat going for that exposed tread. I think I designed this to be tread. This is happening between these 2 robots. But now Flames has a good opportunity. Just barely misses it. Now Schrodinger's cat with a good opportunity. Let's see if I can reach their flipper. Oh! And there's a good hit by Schrodinger's cat. Another! Yeah. Wow. And Flames, now a good flip from Flames. And yeah. This fight is really good. Oh! Big flip from Schrodinger's cat. This match has just become very high-paced. Oh no! And Flames is out of the arena. And that will be a win for Schrodinger's cat. A much-needed win. Okay, well, a good fight. So, yeah, very entertaining fight. Both of those robots did very well. There were, like, one time where each of the robots made a driving mistake, but overall, that was a really good match. Schrodinger's cat is put at a good position at 1-0-1 with, if they win, they get in. Flames, however, it's going to be a bit more complex for them because they are sitting at 1-0-2. And a 1-0-3 robot is not very impressive, as we just discussed. And neither is a 1-1-2 robot. So they're going to need a win if they want a good seed. They may still get in as a 1-0-3 because of their strength of schedule and their strength of matches, but only time will tell. Our next fight is a fight between very similar machines, and that is between Endgame and Witch Doctor. So, Endgame has this good vertical spinner and self-rider. We saw it defeat Radioactive in a recent episode, and we saw it we saw it tie with Chomp in another episode. So now they sit at 1-0-1, similar to Flames and Beta. So, like those two, it's important that Endgame gets a win. If they do get a win, they will be instantly qualified into the round of 12, unless something drastic changes. But standing in their way is Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor is an impressive robot. They are 0-0-1, but do not let the record fool you. This new design has had some pretty good moments, such as the controlling of Bronco. It has had some bad moments where it did not perform as well, such as when it was pushing with a bit too much power against Bronco, and thus riding right up onto its flipper, easily getting flipped. It was not a great plan for them, and it will not work now, but their opponent does not have a flipper, so this time it may be excused. It's ultimately going to be a grand battle between these two robots. But if Endgame gets inverted, then their self-writer cannot self-write with the spinner on. I don't know why, but it can't. So that will be Witch Doctor's primary objective in this game. They're at a similar position to Schrodinger's cat, but with a bit less pedigree and a bit more knowledge of fighting power. So let's get into the fight. So, oops, sorry, spun too hard on the endgame disc. Accidentally flipped over the Witch Doctor. So, oof. And Witch Doctor is on endgame. Okay, they're able to self-write out of that position, so that's good. But endgame controlling the fight, well, and oh no, endgame could be trapped in the pit. Oh no, and they're not in a good position here. They cannot self-write out of this position. And this will likely be a full count out for Witch Doctor. For once. Yeah, the countdown has started. And endgame's hopes of the bracket will remain indeterminate. Well, anyway. Witch Doctor with an amazing win there over endgame, and they improved their record to 1-0-1. That is a good place for them. And so endgame is at 1-1-1. This is basically like the Schrodinger's Cat in Flames, but the robots are a bit different. Endgame, I think it's a must-win situation, because a loss to Witch Doctor, a tie against Chomp, and a win against Radioactive, those aren't that good of opponents, so they're going to be relying on a win in the next time they fight for a chance in the bracket. Now, our next fight may be a bit unbalanced. We have Extraterrestrial versus Warhead. Extraterrestrial, as we told you, is a very powerful robot with ballistic arms, and they can do some pretty good stuff with those. So, yeah, Extraterrestrial will be hoping for a second win. That will likely confirm them a spot in the bracket. And then Warhead has not fought yet. And it's often criticized for being easily knocked out because it has no ground clearance and it is uninjuritable. Besides that, its weapon does no damage and it has very few means of knocking out opponents. It used to be a lot more durable back last season when they just barely made it to a draw with Shockwave, but they didn't get in because they didn't perform that well in that fight. They're hoping to do a bit better this time around, but with every opponent having fought so far, they'll be at a bit of a disadvantage, and we'll need to catch up very soon. Alright, let's start the fight, and and already that, well, this fight is now over with Warhead on its side. Oh no. Yes, that will be a win for Extraterrestrial. Poor Warhead. It just gets onto its head so easily. Yeah, that's going to be worrying. An 0-1 start with a lack of a lot of fights is not a good start. But Extraterrestrial, on the other hand, is 2-0, and that, unless they have like 2 losses in a row, they're getting in. And yeah, Extraterrestrial has been pretty impressive in its fights. However, there is strength of schedule to consider. Their combined record of their opponents in all of their opponents' careers is 0-3. So maybe they need some better opponents next time. We'll try. Like I said, schedules are somewhat randomized, so we'll do what we can. Now it's time for our main event. So Overkill lost to Flames in, I think, episode 3. It was a very unexpected defeat for them because Flames was relatively unknown at that time. They were a rookie and they had only 1 tie, which was against Beta, so they were expected to win, but they didn't. Flames did a very good job at destroying them by flipping them out of the arena, and they proved their power and why they deserve to be in that main event. Overkill will be in a second main event for this season, but going in as 1-1 and in a must-win situation, because a robot with 2 losses, if Overkill can put on a really stunning performance in its next fight and also put on a very stunning loss, if they lose, there might be a chance that they can get in, but it's unlikely. And then with a tie, they're also at a bad place where they must win. A win would be nice. A win would put them at either a win or a tie would get them in at that point. So yeah. Their opponent, however, may make it hard to complete that goal, because this next robot fighting Overkill is Zero Gravity. Zero Gravity fought in 1 fight before. That was the Warrior Clan, but Warrior Clan is Warrior Clan, and Warrior Clan knocked themselves out. So Zero Gravity, we have not exactly seen what Zero Gravity is capable of. If they succeed in winning this fight, then they'll get to 2-0 and also a near confirmed spot in the bracket, along with Extraterrestrial and Earthquake. But a loss puts them at 1-1 and shows them that they can only beat some robots. And it's also going to complicate things for the bracket. So they'll be looking for a win here or a tie. A tie would also be nice, but not ideal. Well, anyway, I think we should start the fight now. And robots are aggressive, trying to get control. And there's the big Zero Gravity flip. Oh no. Poor Overkill. They were launched right out of the arena. Yikes. That shows you exactly how powerful Zero Gravity's flips can be. Yeah, they landed right. Yeah. Landed right there, right outside of the box. That's very worrying. Great job to Zero Gravity. They put on a great performance, and went 2-0 with a very likely playoff spot in the round of 12. Zero Gravity is now at 1-2. The best record they can hope for now is 2-2. And that's not good. Unless they can do something in their next fight that is so good that it changes the selection committee's minds, they are definitely at a very dangerous part of this season. So, well, that's the end of this episode, but we hope you enjoyed this, and we hope you'll stay for episode 6. It's going to be a very fun one. So yeah, oops.